So tell me real quickly, how do you define your AI school for preparing students for the next wave of education?
So
Yeah.
AI with ChatGPT can talk in almost any language, is kind of a savior for the people who don't know how to read and write, because now they can just speak to the device. And illiteracy was where you can read and write. Now the literacy would be, can you use an AI? Can you use an AI to get information? So in my
Right.
opinion, the definition of basic literacy needs to be redesigned or rechanged
There you go.
into, are you able to use AI to retrieve information or not? They are earning more than their parents.
Now let's see results.
And they're just young
Yeah,
kids,
like
and they have friends from all
undeniable.
around the world.
Yeah.
They're talking in English, they're using computers, they're using AI, they're using the cell phones. They're like geniuses.
My name is Tarzan Sharif from Austin, Texas. I'm here with my good friend Rehan from Pakistan, and we're going to talk about fun things that people probably don't know about, but should know about. Go ahead, buddy. What we got to start? How do we start this? Do we just kind of go into it, or?
So you can just ask me the questions about the school.
Yeah.
Whatever fascinates you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Rehan. So tell me real quickly, how do you define your AI school for preparing students for the next wave of education?
First of all, I'm really happy to see you.
You too, buddy.
And it doesn't feel, I was checking how we connected. I still have no idea. You messaged me in 2012.
It's been a long time.
Out of the blue, and I was like, what's happening? And then you introduced me to your partner. And then we met in 2015 or 17 when I was driving by, and then I ended up staying at your place, which was lovely. Big-hearted man you are, and you still are.
Can't stop it.
And I'm really happy to meet you again. I think if I was living here, you'll probably be my best friend.
Yeah, I'd be.
Or I will want it.
Yeah, we'd be working on all kinds of crazy projects a lot closer, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So the school, basically, I've been telling a lot of people to start a school and use technology in the school. And then back in 2013, one of the guys I was giving lecture at their place, he said, your ideas, it's never going to happen. I was like, really? Then I just asked my assistant, buy rehanschool.com. So we'll build a school now. So we started building a school on a cell phone, and that is 2013. Around 10 years later, I bought a building, and it was a running school. And then I wanted to incorporate technology inside it. But then ChatGPT came.
Yeah.
And when ChatGPT came, everything changed for me and everyone, I think. And I think the way we perceive and get knowledge is changed, but we don't realize it yet. So we started introducing AI into the school, and we slowly removed everything else, like the original curriculum, which is like sciences and history and all that good stuff which we were learning for hundreds of years. I took it out. And last year, I was rethinking about the school after a conference in London about education. So I did a seminar for a couple of people from London, and they wanted me to start a school in London. I was like, why would they want a school in London? Why would I be wanted in London? So I rethought the whole process, and I thought, we have engineering school, we have driving school. We don't allow anybody to drive the car without a license, but we allow people to run for elections without a license. We don't take any kind of tests of people who run for elections. There should be a test.
No, it's yeah, good person.
And we know how to make dentists, engineers, doctors, but we don't know how to make Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Edison of the world.
Correct. Yeah.
We see leadership as a course in marketing or in PhD or in master's, but we don't see it in a school level. So I wanted to now start a school. Last year, I wanted to start a school or reshape the school into a school which by design produces the next Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Edison's, Gandhis, and Jinnahs, not by accident. We have a poetry, a verse in Urdu that for thousands of years, um, the rain is waiting for a flower to blossom, which will change the world. And I'm like, why are we waiting for thousands of years? Why can't we
Yeah,
just do it by design?
it's very passive. Yeah.
So I wanted to be involved in that process, and I have for all my life studied genius, and I have been very passionate. I've watched hundreds and thousands of documentaries on people, how they lived. I've met them. I've met so many billionaires in my life, millionaires, and when I ask their stories, they're like they have similar patterns.
Yeah, I would love to learn more about that because I went on my own little journey to figure out my path in life, and I started looking up people that I admire, other leaders, other successful individuals. There's only so much you can learn from the outside with, of course, online resources. Wikipedia is great, but there's no sort of like personal down to the actual human being, like what was that to grow up and what was that to change from just, that person to now this big symbol, right? Because that's what happens when you become known for being a genius. You become symbolic. We always talk about the celebrity, right? This beautiful thing that we kind of glorify. But you're right. We should celebrate genius and should create a model to, or at least work towards creating a model like you're working on, and make that a part of our heritage. Celebrating genius. Not just celebrating the celebrity. But anyway, keep going because I wanna dive in more about that.
So we celebrate the genius, but what I want to do is I think everybody is a genius born, but we are dumbed down.
Very much.
Only today,
Yeah.
when I was watching, I opened the TV today and there was a program on Leonardo da Vinci. So imagine like in 400 years, we don't have anybody to brag about except one guy.
Yeah.
By accident, he was born and he was this polymath who knew everything. And then at the breakfast table, I saw this one little girl who was probably 3.5 or 4. She was a genius in my opinion because the way she was dealing with her brother, the way she was acting up with her parents.
Yeah.
She was to her brother like, be nice to your sister, be nice to your sister. She was like a very adult person in a very small body.
Right.
And I have always seen that people who are like smaller people, these young adults, I always find them fascinating and geniuses.
They have potential there, and
But when I see them at 8 years of age or 12 years of age, it's like somebody dumbed them down. Something went wrong somewhere, right?
We have a problem with that in America.
Everywhere.
Yeah, so I haven't observed it anywhere else but in America. But from my observation, it's our military was the model for education. Started the model for education here in the Western world. So now every public education, every sort of even concerts, it's like the setting is where you have a individual in the front, and then everybody else can just find their way to the information or to the the sound waves that are being created. So yeah, that education model of 1 to 1,000, 1 to that's the military model. So kids, even myself, when I was growing up, I was a lot more creative one-to-one with my educator, parent, or friend, or tree, right? I would have a lot more time to explore concepts. And when you're young, that's kind of what it is. It's you banging the block against the table and like, oh, it doesn't go through the table. I have to build something on top of it. You create things with being a young mind. When you get older, for some reason, I think we've beaten that out of people through the system, through this military system of learning. But yeah, anyway, keep going because I have my own opinion about it. But yeah, I don't want to get in front of yours.
So in Pakistan, there are 27 million people who don't go to any school. And 60% of the country does not know how to read and write in any language.
60%. So that's roughly how
160 million people.
That's unthinkable, right? That's the scope of that. Because America, we have like
it was the same in America in 47.
Really?
Or 30s.
Oh, okay.
So only 2% of the population of the planet knew how to read and write in up till 1910. So it's not been forever.
It's not been forever, but
it's only 3 generations ago that people did not know how to read and
write.
That's
hard to fathom. But we can knock the education system, but then you think about how successful it was to just
bring it to another level, right?
Yeah, broadcast, just like complete, just here it is, right?
So humans have evolved a lot in the last 150 years, right? It's like a whole everything has changed. So AI with ChatGPT can talk in almost any language, is kind of a savior for the people who don't know how to read and write, because now they can just speak to the device. And illiteracy was where you can read and write. Now the literacy would be, can you use an AI? Can you use an AI to get information? So in my opinion, the definition of basic literacy needs to be redesigned or rechanged into, are you able to use AI to retrieve information or not? So I think the UN and UNESCO should rethink about it and kind of rewrite the definition of literacy. Right now, the word literacy, that some definitions are, if you're able to read and write your own name in any language, then you're literate.
The bar's too low.
So now it can be rechanged. So coming back to when I started the school, and I like to take on big challenges.
Of course, that's how me and you connected. We've always been about taking on the world and making it a better. That's how we got connected. That's what it was. Like, you were doing something big, and I was like, I want to help.
Okay.
But yeah.
So I want to create a new model of education, which can then be replicated by hundreds and thousands of schools, and that's what I'm doing. So my goal is, like, there are 110,000 private schools just in Pakistan, with hundreds of branches, who charge around $5 a month as tuition fees.
That's really low.
That's really low for you, but a country which earns $100 a month, and have 5 children, for $5, that's like already quarter of their salary.
It's hard to obtain
that, right?
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to educate these kids in a way where they start earning at 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade.
Perfect.
In 8th grade, they have to make 5x their own parents' salary, which is instead of $1,000 a month, they're now earning $5,000 a month at being in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And the way I'm doing it is by connecting them to the planet around the world, not just within Pakistan. So they do internships, they do freelancing with the people around the world, not just within Pakistan.
So your model really creates more competitive students, because now you can tell students, hey, you're not stuck. You're only stuck if you don't use these tools. And these tools can elevate you now. They can elevate you.
And the same for schools. So these schools are charging $5 a month.
Oh yeah, so the schools can take this on as a curriculum. Oh,
so once the school is making, if a child is making $100 a month, I'm renaming the students to partners. So now a partner comes into the school, they start learning, and they split their profit with the school.
That's very cool.
If they're earning $100 a month, they give $50 to the school, $50 goes to them, and now the school is making, instead of $5 a month, $50 a month. In 7th grade, they're able to make $100 a month. In 8th grade, they will be able to make $250 a month.
So that's their literacy, is actually creating results.
So all of a sudden, the private investor comes in and says, you know what, there are 27 million possible partners in this country. I want to create a school, make them my partners, and they earn, they learn, everybody's happy. So that model will allow the whole country to be educated. And one of the reasons the children don't go to school is not the lack of school. The government schools are there, but the parents don't see value of sending them to the school.
They don't see the results. Yeah, they want. Yeah, it's like.
So now they are earning more than their parents.
Now I see results.
And they're just young kids, and they have friends from all around the world. They're talking in English. They're using computers. They're using AI. They're using the cell phones. They're like geniuses.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's going to be. So I created an 8-year program where up till the 8th grade, the kid comes in and starts making up to $500 a month, and then they can choose another path and do regular schooling and then do graduation, and they're now in a better space than an MBA in my country. An MBA in Pakistan, its starting salary is only $100 a month.
Wow.
And
Wow.
this 8-year-old will be making $500 a month. Not 8-year-old, eighth graders. So now all of a sudden there is a parallel path towards financial success for them. And then from that, I want to take them on to become real geniuses. If they want to join my genius school, they take another path. And now they join in my genius school, which is you have to impact 1 million people. You have to earn $1 million before you graduate high school. And you have to be in the Guinness Book of World Record before you graduate high school.
Okay.
So
pretty high bar.
Pretty high bar if you want to become a genius. So what's a genius? A genius, and normally, why is Leonardo or Steve Jobs or Bill Gates considered a genius is because they impacted so many lives.
Results. Yeah.
Edison impacted so many lives. They changed the world. They changed the world how we see it.
Yeah.
So I want to create another 1,000 leaders in the world who would change the world in 100 or 500 different problems, which we know are problems, which we call SDG goals, Sustainable Development Goals, created by United Nations. And these are goals and sub-goals: water, poverty, education, rights, law and order.
Right.
A lot of problems have been identified.
Take some bright geniuses and you go after those things. Absolutely.
So if you're dedicated, if you're willing to dedicate your life for the next 5 to 10 years,
then you become
a genius, and then you solve those problems.
Yeah.
And the way we educate them is that from an early age, from 6th grade, we give them one of the problems and we rename them Mr. Tarzan Sharif Construction Wala.
Yeah.
Or Construction Smith.
Okay.
And then you watch a TED Talk from a construction or a building or a development person.
Yeah.
And then make your own understanding video. And then you post it on the internet and you tag the person who gave the talk. And then you approach them, sir, can I have a podcast with you? Madam, can I have a podcast with you? So these young adults are now reaching out to the who's who of the world in that space, not just random people.
No, right.
And
the thought leaders that
and the thought leader in that problem space.
Yeah.
And then try to do 200 podcasts in a year. That's like having 200 super amazing lectures grinded into you at Stanford or Harvard or MIT.
Yeah, the podcast is not necessarily a marketing vehicle. It's really a vehicle for the student to start to think about themselves introspectively from an observer standpoint too. It's like I can see myself communicating with these other different thought leaders, and that's humans. We learn a lot through comparing ourselves. There's also a problem with that. You know, comparison is the thief of joy. So you have to really build it into them. It's like, don't compare yourself, but still observe yourself, you know, so that way you can still find joy in the curriculum and in these podcasts and not just, you know, oh, no one's looking at them. Like, that's not the point. So I get it. That's really great because you're training people, and it takes, like anything, you got to be doing it through repetition. Otherwise, it doesn't connect up here.
So that very well said. However, when you have a conversation with anyone for an hour, you feel the connection.
Yeah.
And you always stay in touch. You exchange numbers, you connect on LinkedIn, you connect on Facebook, Twitter.
It becomes a memory that actually grows.
Right. And it's an hour-long relationship. The adult invested in the younger adult.
Yeah.
And they will keep on following this younger adult as a protege, as a mentee for a long period of time.
Right. You can see them grow.
And and if they're doing something wrong, they would come and say, hey, buddy, you're doing something wrong. I think this is how you should be. And I have this experience on this subject already. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So these young adults have 600 to 800 experts in that space, connecting with them, did podcasts with them, friends with them.
Right.
The young ones become a master just by being around the bigger masters. So this is how they're doing their mastery.
Right.
And after that, they start their business. So for example, for the last 20 odd years, you have been wanting to do this World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Imagine there are 100 franchisees or 500 franchisees already out there who have done World Trade Center. Imagine you have done a podcast with every single one of them.
Right, right.
and they're your friends.
Yeah,
Now imagine
that's how you build your network.
Now imagine how much
Absolutely.
power you have in your
Yeah.
pocket because you say, you know what, I'm doing another one in Austin. Would any of 100 of you would want to invest
Of course.
100K with me
Yeah.
or 10K with me? You know me already. You have done a podcast with me. We met before.
Yeah.
We have had lunch before. Imagine how much power you have in your hand just by doing the right networking, not just general networking.
No, there's
the purposeful networking in that space.
There's a law. It's called the Dunbar law. I think I brought it to your attention once. Like the mind is only capable of like 240, 250 connections of
150 is actually.
meaningful connections.
Yeah.
So I think of it like, of course there is this statistic where the 5 people in your life are the ones that are going to be pretty much comparing you or reflecting you, right? So it's like you have your 5, but then you have the 245 outside of that that are going to be really powerful business connections that drives the stability of your life. Mike Muni, he's in Dallas Fort Worth. I've been connected with him in a long time, but he created the CRM industry with his ACT software. So he was explaining to me over coffee about how
ACT software.
Yeah,
the one which was bought out by Symantec long time ago.
He's the inventor of it. Yeah.
Wow. Who's this?
Yeah, Mike Muni. Yeah. He's a fantastic human. I haven't contacted him in a long time. I'm sure he's doing great, but he would probably like to hear about this conversation because him and other leaders in the space of the power of your network. That's what I'm talking about because I've always been good at, just bumping into people. I'm Tarzan, shake my hand, give me your card, see you later. And it's just like.
But that's random, right?
That's not good. That's just socializing. It's just.
That's what I was doing too.
Yeah, I don't call that networking.
Well, it is networking.
It's very trivial.
It is networking.
Yeah.
It's very serendipitous.
It's
like meeting you.
Yeah.
However, the thing which changes between, for example, me and my school and everybody else is that I'm forcing a goal,
right,
a large number goal to the student. I'm not saying you are allowed or you have permission to go out and do anything.
Right.
No.
Right.
You are supposed to, this is what you want to do, now commit to it. It's like getting into a marriage. You pick one and you stick with her for, I mean, everybody.
The grass is greener where you water it.
Yeah. So, and you stick with this goal for at least a decade. And if you stick with that goal and you stop looking at everybody else and imagining yourself with them, similarly, you stick with your goal for a decade or two and you see it flourish, you commit to it, and you will see it giving you amazing babies.
That is the poetry of our system of commerce because we don't have a lot of people focused on how to impact the world. We have a lot of people focused just to survive. It's a beatdown, and these tools that people are fearing to take our jobs, I think will do the inverse. They'll actually enable us to take on the jobs.
I think we have. For example, if you look at monks, priests, army people, they all stick for 2 decades.
Yeah,
at least for a cause.
They have like
they're committed.
Yeah, they're committed, but there's a discipline there. It's a 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. they're doing something to start their day, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Like by the time they hit 11 a.m., they've done their entire day. Now the rest of the day is whatever, right? And in America, that's not how we roll. For some people, but a lot of people are stuck to a salary and to 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, and it's very No, we keep going, but no, I'm definitely. This is all resonating with me because
But coming back to the genius part, the genius school. It's still asking them to commit to a cause for the rest of their life, or at least 2 decades.
Be a disciple for something that matters.
And just stick to it. Just like if you become a monk, you become it for it. You don't decide to leave it.
No.
Right? So and we need those disciplined leaders to fix the world problems. And what I'm creating is a school by design for that.
Yeah.
Up till now, we have, like, for example, if you were choosing the Dalai Lama, and you're born a Dalai Lama, and the guy comes in and decides you are
you are part of his soul. Yeah.
And then you're trained for the rest of your life to be a Dalai Lama. You can't You can't quit.
No.
If you are a crown prince, you're trained to be the king.
Yeah.
Just like that, we somehow in the democratic system and every else system, we left that behind, and we need it in order to.
We need a meritocracy. We really do. We need some sort of a meritocracy that that awards people for being absolutely, just outstanding humans.
And that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
We're trying to take very young adults and and make them into a discipline of you becoming the next president by design.
That's
You
great.
becoming the next prime minister,
Yeah.
or the next Malala, or the next Gandhi, or the next Edison,
Yeah.
or the Bill Gates by design, not by accident. You pick a cause and you stick with it for a long enough time that the world recognizes you. And it's not just about the information. It's about being sweet, being kind, being able to connect, being able
Humility.
to be humble, being able to learn. One of the gentlemen I wanted to do the podcast with, Lex, right? He released his new podcast today with the Prime Minister of India.
Yeah, Lex Friedman's moving his long form content into that realm of,
There's nothing like that ever been done by
no,
anyone, right?
he's doing something that is absolutely we need to be able to hear these people speak.
So it's a 3-hour conversation
Yeah.
with the Prime Minister of India, where he talks about his one little 10 by 10 house where 6 people were living, where he did not have shoes. So even though he's the Prime Minister of 1.54 billion human beings, and he's commanding them, he started with that humility, and he's explaining that I did not know that not fitting shoes is wrong. Because I've never worn shoes. So he was trained by karma, by the divine, to become that person.
Right.
So so I kind of want to do it in a schooling way.
Sure.
In a training. It's like, we didn't have these kind of armies before.
No.
We created these kind of armies of nurses, of armies, of engineers, of doctors. Now we humans have evolved. So now what I'm looking at is a new generation of human beings by design.
Sure.
To actually take up on the large causes of the world. And I don't think it would have been possible 20 years ago.
No.
I don't even think. I think this is. It would have been maybe possible, but
yeah.
I see now the perfect time for doing this.
There'd be way too much inertia, way too much friction. I mean, here's the biggest problem that I think a school like yours is going to have is
Let's not talk about the problems. We'll solve them when we get there.
Well, right, and I'm just saying that I wouldn't call it a problem. I'll just say that the cultural, the normal in America is to be kind of lazy and passive about your education. Somewhere like in Pakistan and the world that we have no knowledge of in America, right? But we can learn about from leaders like yourself. There's a whole generation of people that are ready to go out there and do these things because they want to. They want to prove themselves. In America, there's not a lot of that going on. It's a problem. There's a lot of kids that don't want to prove themselves.
But we don't need a lot of kids. I want only to train 1,000 kids.
We don't need the whole world to get turned on by this. We need to enable people that have that sense of that calling to get going. And that's the thing. A lot of kids. Look, when I was growing up, you get the pat on the back, the gold star, great job, and that was great. It's like, you're a smart kid, good job, first in painting, first in drawing. I was very big in art. And those were my trophies, right? Like, look at me, I did all this great artwork, I got all these amazing awards and scholarships. But when you get on your own, survival kicks in, and getting a job, making money, and that's just like, like you stop making awards, you stop doing those things. So yeah, if your school can actually kind of keep that track going, where you feel like you're constantly accomplishing little chunks of the bigger prize, and you don't stop because it's actually monetarily incentivizing and benefiting you to keep going, yeah, you're on to like no inertia. Like it's just accomplish your mission. Yeah, a lot of kids don't have that. They don't have that mission. They just have a video game, or they have a couple of parents who are not there, and they have to fend for themselves, and it's sad, but that's But anyway, you definitely have a model that, yeah, our new administration in the U.S. needs to pick it up, because the Trump administration, they are staring at the Western world's education ranking. It's abysmal. We're at the bottom. We're like 40. We're about to fall out of the top 40. And American students are the most capable because they have the most resources. And so a model like yours could actually hopefully propel us up the ladder, hopefully out of the 40th position. But no, yeah, you really need to be in touch with some of the political leaders of our country, because they need to be hearing about how we can get behind something like this. Because a genius academy, a genius school is something that every school should have, especially if they're cutting art programs. Like when I was going to school, my art programs that I would disappear into, because I hated everything else. I really did. I just didn't fit in with anybody in high school. I could only fit in with my art and the art department, and that's where I stayed. But then I started getting cut, and then theater, and then performing arts, and the art started getting cut out of schools. So if there's a way to say, okay, well, you cut out the good stuff, we'll put the good stuff back in. Let's go actually create a results program where you actually put this into your public education curriculum, and now you can actually say your kids are not just earning awards, they're changing the world, right? And I think that's a better narrative. That's something very worthy to pursue, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Lex Friedman should talk to you about it, because his audience, his stage, all the people that listen to him should listen to this, because everybody that listens to Lex Friedman, let's face it, they are the genius community. If you look at everybody that's on his podcast, they are some of the best representation, or the best leaders of our, well, I don't want to say modern time, but they are pretty much close to it. Like, it's a very good little playlist of everybody who's doing something. But yeah, I'm really interested to hear about how you go about selecting students, how you go about finding these kids, or at least getting the parents to get into the program, because if that's easy to do, then maybe it's easy to do here.
So when I started, I thought I will have 100 students. That was 3 years ago. Now I have 300. I have a large audience on social media. I have like 2.5 million people around on my socials. So I just sent out a video.
Yeah.
And they started coming in. They started migrating to my city. They started migrating near the school. And those are the best ones. The ones who migrated because their commitment level.
Let's do this.
The commitment level was very high. So they started showing up. So yeah, that's what I did. I just did. I have 12,000 plus videos in Urdu. So a lot of people, like, I showed up to the hotel the other day, and the guy was like, "Hi, Mr. Rehan." He already knew me.
Yeah.
I don't have enough he was Pakistani, so I don't have enough content in English. Thus, I requested you to do a podcast with me.
I'm happy to do this. Yeah, love to keep doing this with you.
Because once people know me, they trust me, the audience will come. You build it and they come, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I've been finding so far. And I have multiple tier goals with the school. One was I was explaining to solve the economic problem. Second was to solve the political issues and the problem issues of the world. So I will split the school after 8th grade into one Genius Academy and one normal school. So the normal path people want to take.
You want to get started and have another level.
So the other one would be masses, and the after 4 years we will observe who is the genius, and we will invite them to the Genius Academy.
Yeah. No, there's a whole track to that. It's almost like there could be a way to do like VC for bright minds. I mean, essentially, some of these minds may get to a point with their curriculum.
Right now, we don't. I have always done bootstrapping.
Yeah.
So I've never.
Well, I'm saying, like, if there could be something there where there's some promise there's some really strong opportunity there to get some folks to come in and invest and grow something. Because you never know, a group like that, they could create 0 point energy that's actually, commercializable. Like you can actually figure out a way to create these things that are,
I think they will. So
there are some really
I
great
really-
technologies that need to be coming. I think that group will probably make it.
I really think that we will be able to eventually give free food, free water, free
Yeah.
energy to everyone.
Yeah.
I think it's already been done many, many times, but it's just hidden somewhere.
Oh, of course.
So, but with the access of AI, deep searches, and I was just researching some stuff on AI the other day. Clicked on deep research, and boom, 10 minutes later, you have a whole book explaining from A to Z about everything. So it's just that the focus on that problem is missing, and these kids or these young adults or partners will be able to do that with us, I think.
No, I think you're absolutely like in the fertile ground. You're in that blue ocean opportunity, because I was reading there was a 12-year-old that created fusion. He created a fusion reactor, got into the Guinness Book of World Records, similar to your model. So those are the things we're talking about. He did this young. You can't. It's undeniable. Like, this is a genius to do that. But what he did is he just applied himself, because he saw another student around the same age on a TED Talk talking about nuclear fission as well. And so it's like, if he can do it, I can do it, and that's great, because when other kids can say, oh, he's just like me, there's no comparison, like, better than competition in some ways. It's like, okay, I want to do that too. So I do want you to think about something, and that's competitiveness, because your program could help a lot of different people work harder, and people need that. They need that sense that I'm going to be able to, because, like, look, a lot of families that invest into homeschooling, especially my friends that have that pay like $50,000 a year, or 25,000 for a 6-month track of homeschooling. They're struggling, because they're just like, I'm just paying money, and the results, I don't know. So the parents who are like, I want to put money where I know is going to make my child more competitive globally and help them move faster to a result, I think those parents will come to you faster, because those are the ones who already get it. They already understand. Like, they're already putting money away to train their child for the next, to be the next, successful person on earth, and they're willing to go and put their dollars into that, education. But it's like the results. It's like, how do you track those? Anyway, no, you're definitely doing something that people that already are paying, homeschool, private school, they would want to look at this. And yeah, if you can make it exclusive and kind of help people understand what it is, and maybe there's a wait list, maybe it's at the right time, and you can kind of create a program that will apply to current models, current education systems, and they can just bolt it on. That way the folks that are on the waiting list, they can go over there, get started. But then you have like the more hands-on approach with the model that you have. That's why, like, you exposed me to your vision of the land, the city, and the thing you want to build. That's probably where people can actually really like dive in and do a whole deep dive into their education. So you could probably, like, say, get started in your own community at your own center or your own school. And then when you're ready and when you graduate, come over here to the city that you've developed that will be where you sort of graduate to the next level, and actually be like a residency program. That's where I think you could get a lot of really high tier people from your program to get together and be in a residency program together. And that's where you can kind of see like a hadron collider of like geniuses, like in a tight spot to really do some great things. Anyway, I don't want to keep talking about these ideas that I'm hearing about in my head after you have been talking about it. But what's next? What's the next step for you?
I came to the US to re-energize my network.
Good.
because, and second was to try to establish a school in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. is something I've worked with since my early 20s. I consider it as my home, even though I don't live here. I feel home when I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't feel as much home as when I'm in Pakistan.
Okay.
Because I have lived here, I mean, virtually, literally,
Yeah.
for most of my life, worked here most of my life. My money, credit cards, and everything, I've been awarded more here than back home.
Yeah.
So I really resonate to this country and
Yeah.
maybe feel it like home. I mean, I really don't feel home anywhere, but this place is very. I mean, my friend Dan, who came to Pakistan last year 3 times to stay with us, says you're more American than most Americans are, because I have more traveled, more, have more
Yeah.
friends.
You've been to 80.
I've been to 86 countries.
Yeah, you've been all
I've
over the
been
world.
to over
Yeah.
35 states probably. I haven't
Yeah.
really counted, but I've driven across the country
Yeah.
multiple times. Most Americans don't
No,
do that.
you do represent the American idealism of being able to go everywhere and
Yeah.
the freedom is what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Yeah.
So, and when see, I tell my students, you will not work for anyone in Pakistan. Even the internships, you have to find outside Pakistan. Okay, fine. Out of 4 internships, you can find 1 in Pakistan. But the rest of them, you need to find outside Pakistan. You
Yeah.
know, my best friend, who I met when I was 21 or 22, was from Florida. And she allowed me to speak. She allowed me to be myself. She allowed me to teach. She was a teacher. She taught me to be confident. And it took me 20 years, maybe 15, to become confident. It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
But she was still like, look in the eyes. You don't look down. You act in a certain way. But that's not what I was taught back home. So I transformed myself over at least six times in the last 30 years. They say that the snake sheds their skin every 7 years. So I think I did almost in 5 years, and I've been changing myself over and over, becoming a newer version.
Better version.
I hope a better version.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think
For
we
sure
just
a
shed
newer
the shed.
version.
I think we refine ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did let a lot of old habits and old personality
They weren't serving
go
you.
away.
Yeah.
And try to adopt new ones. Just before I was coming to this show,
Yeah.
I was thinking, keep on doing, Rehan. In 10 years, you will shed even more. So
Yeah.
you'll become a better person. But the discipline has to be there. So I think I'm becoming, as I'm aging, I realize that I need to be more disciplined about my food, my sleep, my exercise. Otherwise, I
It
wouldn't have
starts to
energy.
get more and more important as you get older. Yeah.
So the life teaches you stuff which you don't want to learn. So it forces on you.
Yeah.
So I want to create another 100 companies for these kids so that they can end the world, so that they can get 1 billion, 2 billion more jobs, because all the
Yeah.
jobs we know are going to go away. So I have
Absolutely.
created a
They
job.
should. We shouldn't be doing the same, yeah.
I created a job incubator with the goal of which is to help create 100 to 1,000 new startups in the job space. So we will build sites for teachers, plumbers, electricians.
It sounds like we need to talk to Peter over at X Prize, because he would actually help to probably stage some of these job X Prizes. That way, because at the end of the day, it's market.
I don't think. I mean, I've tried to talk to Peter for 10 years. I haven't been able to talk to him. I just met Salim Smile.
He's great. Yeah.
His first president of Singularity. He was really nice and humble.
Yeah.
He allowed me to come to his home. We had coffee.
Yeah.
But I think that what X Prize was trying to do is great. But I think I'll create my own leaders.
Yeah.
On the problem solving side, because the adults have a different way of doing things. There's very few adults who would really dedicate themselves fully. There's one right here I met, Gabrielle. in your town. He is, I think you met Michael, but this guy has another school and he's focused on creating a master in arts.
Okay.
So since you like art, you want to
No,
see his
yeah,
school.
yeah. Love to learn about it. Yeah.
So, but he's 53 and I said, if I give you $10 million, what would you do? He said, well, I'll invest in my school. And
Yeah.
very few 53-year-old people or 40-year-old, and he has been dedicated for 20 years on this, right? So very few people have the discipline to focus on solving one problem. Geniuses normally are distracted very quickly.
Sure.
They have a very high
A high
frequency
propensity
of
to,
change.
yeah, it's like a squirrel that gets lost.
Yeah.
I'm victim of that.
Yeah. So I think the reason kids are good at this is because, when you get them, I'm trying to get them now at 2 years of age. I have built a nursery very recently, which I was trying for 2 years, but now we have like 5, 6 students there. And we will add more. So we want to train them even younger. When you're 8, 9, 10, 5, you're innocent. You don't have
Absolutely.
testosterone bothering
Yeah.
you. You don't have hormones bothering you.
You're just potential, just sitting there.
You're
Yeah.
not. You don't have to prevent. You don't have to worry about food. There's so much you can get away with till you're 19, 20.
Yeah.
And after that, the whole world just attacks you with.
You get squished. I got squished.
With,
Yeah. We all get
with,
squished.
with so much.
Yeah.
So I think there was a Star Trek episode. I don't know. I can't seem to find it. In where they go to an alien planet, and everything was done by the kids. The whole planet was run by the kids, and by 20 they would disappear. They would be gone
They
or
just
something.
leave or
I don't know, they
vanish.
die or something. But the whole the scientists, everything was kids. And whenever I see what I'm doing, I feel like I'm that Star Trek episode because I'm creating that geniuses where they will be from 8 to 16 who would be actually solving the world problems, because that's what I saw. I saw that the elders, they have this distractions, right? So much distraction, so they cannot discipline themselves. Maybe by doing what I'm doing, I'll be ending up creating tools for elders also. But I see the elders constantly being distracted, not disciplined at all. And young ones don't have much problems in that space. And up till 2 years ago, I didn't see that. I was always saying, you know what, do your high school and come to me. But that was my mistake. So I was learning from the elders and I tried to train them, and now I'm shifting everything to the very young ones because I see if I catch them young, I could do this. There was this gentleman 10 years ago who told me he runs the world's largest not-for-profit. It's called Brock. He's from Bangladesh. And he recently passed away. And he said, Rehan, don't try to teach the elders. I met him 3 times in different countries. He said, don't try to teach the elders. I said, well, I love them. I respect them. I enjoy hanging out with them. I said, well, there's no point.
Their brains are a little bit.
It's hard to teach a new trick to an old dog.
It really is.
So, and I didn't listen to him, and I was a decade. But when I see it this, I wouldn't have been the person I am if I didn't try to burn my head with these guys. And now I actually know exactly what I need to do with the young ones. And when these kids come and I tell them, look, the only thing is you need to just eat the pills I'm giving you. Don't try to be the doctor. And I try to tell them everything. And even today I was giving an interview. The girl was like, oh, I'm trying to do this. And they said, no, if you're in this school, this is all you do.
Yeah.
Don't do anything else. Otherwise, you will spoil everybody else and yourself, and you're wasting your time. Why are you with me? Go to another school.
That's the narrative for almost everybody that I can think of. Every peer that I have, we all wasted our good years of learning at a public educational, some kind of institution that I look at my degree, I'm just like, I won't say anything bad, but it's definitely like I'm not using it. That's all I'll say. But that's what a lot of people are. We don't exit education and continue what we were doing when we went.
I think because the goal was never given. If you were given a goal when you were a 4th grader,
it's free. That's why the academic sector in our society, it's completely disconnected from the private sector, and not completely. That's too general. I'll just say that there's a disparity there.
90% connected. Not connected.
There's a big disparity there because private sector will constantly improve at breakneck speed. So here's the thing: technology just makes things faster. I consider myself a technologist because of my network and the people that I've been very blessed to meet with, like yourself, over time. And every dialogue that we have, it's technology is this, but the pattern is it just makes things faster. Like Steve Jobs, it's a force multiplier. It's a bicycle for the mind. That's all it is. And so technology in the private sector, I mean, look at how we're making silicon chips, with lithography. Like that technology has moved us so far. Now that we're getting into the next stage of AI, because like all the frontier AI models, like ChatGPT and Sonnet and Claude and this and that, and they'll constantly be, created, and of course Grok, with Elon. But it's like these things will constantly push the narrative forward, but academia will never catch that. So what you're doing is saying, hold on, academia, come on for the ride. And that's powerful because the moment that you can say, hey, I'm connecting private sector to academic sector, now you can kind of raise the boats together and you can kind of combine the forces of both. Because business can be used for a force of good. And that's been the narrative ever since I've picked it up as something that I believe in. Like business is that vehicle for making the world better, improving it. But yeah, if you can somehow combine academic dystopia with for-profit private sector activity, now you got something, right? That's the genius of your model, is bringing those two things together. Now it's the equation of recruitment. Recruit the people that are going to follow the model. But yeah, I mean, you're in a blue ocean right now. It's perfect time. AI is very popular, but like I was telling you, I think I told you yesterday, the day before, AI is going to eventually be just the horizontal that even ordering your freaking food at the restaurant will have AI. It's like the menu's AI. Like, would you like some nachos from your AI menus? Sure. Anyway, that's where I'm at in my mind. It's like it's a buzzy thing now, but what you're doing is you're creating the potential there with it, and sooner or later it's going to just be like the genius model, and I think that's the future. That's how you can kind of create that narrative with everybody that wants to act. Because look, the world's not getting simpler; it's getting more complex. That's just the way the universe works. It's this very simple thing, and all of a sudden it organizes down to very much complex. I mean, look at our bodies. I mean, these are not simple things. But that's what intrigues me most about what you're talking about, because I've always thought that. And Matthew McConaughey over at the University of Texas, he talks about this, and there's a video, you should link to it. I forget where it is, but he talks about arrows.
Is that the actor?
Yeah, he's one of our patriarchs here in Austin. He's also the reason why we have a soccer stadium here. So Austin actually has international sports because of Matthew McConaughey. But he talks about this concept of arrows, and that resonates with me a lot because I've always thought of this like technium, just like this space of where we should be going as a human civilization. And in that space, that technium, or that bubble of treasure that all of us as entrepreneurs tap into sooner or later, and that's how we get those breakthroughs. But we're the arrows. That space up there are the targets, and they're there. We just have to be able to convince ourselves and commit ourselves to shoot ourselves at those targets. So that's what's interesting about your model. It's like, because for me, I'm just one human being. I didn't get to that, self-awareness until my own journey, which is now like 30 years later of just rolling through life. But if you're able to say, hey, you're 10, 12, whatever, you're talented. People tell you that, but you're talented. Why not take that talent? Because remember I was talking about talent, right? It's you've earned talent. You don't just have talent. You earn it through your time of being focused. Let's take that time and apply it to a target. Here's some targets, right? And I think that's the best model, because it's not like, oh, do you want to be a movie star? Hey, I want to be that's a narrative in America right now. You have a whole generation of kids that want to just, show their bodies and be this thing. And it's just like not conducive. It's not even, it's vulgar, right? So if you can say, hey, don't be an influencer, be a genius. Actually devote yourself to that target, these targets. Be the arrow, be the way forward, right? That's the just do it that we're missing, We are missing that narrative, because it's just like, it's sad, you live your whole life, and then you wake up one day and you're not happy. And it's like, why aren't you happy? I wasted my time. Denzel Washington's, one of his quotes that always stuck with me, it's like, one day you're going to die and be in your deathbed, and there's going to be all these potential versions of yourself standing around you. That scares the shit out of me. That scares me, to think that I had all these potential Tarzans that I could have been, right? But I wasted my time. And so that motivates me, is to know that I'm not going to be that guy dying and be in fear of that. I'm going to be the guy going on to the next version, knowing that I was at least some of these guys. It's very hard to be all of them. Let's be honest. We don't have enough time to be all of these different versions of good things. But yeah, you're onto something, and if I can help you, I can help you. I think the best thing for your audience is to know how to sign up, right? So how do they sign up?
Rehan.education, www.rehan.education. There's a number. Mm-hmm. Ping them. Click for the wait list. You can join the wait list also. Somebody will get back to you. If they don't get back to you, knock them again.
Right.
Right now, our focus is more in Pakistan. We're not taking more students, but teachers. My goal is to get 1,000 teachers this year to go through a 2-month crash course, an hour a day. It can be with parents. It can be, you should take it. You can take it. It basically nudges you in the right direction of trying to help you use the social media properly, trying to use video properly, and trying to use AI properly. So once you nudge yourself for these 60 hours, you become much better in doing whatever you want to do. Yeah. And you also come in front of a lot of people's eyes, like myself and others, and you become noticeable. For example, just today I saw some kid who says, I've been following you for 10 years, but I recently found out about this AI teacher training institute, which is basically not just teachers for everyone. I just call it for teachers. And I joined, and day one, I got my money's worth, because there was somebody to discipline me into what I want to do. For 10 years, I've been watching, and I've been seeing this is what I have to do, but I wasn't doing. Yeah. But all of a sudden, the peers, help you, force you into doing what you're supposed to. Like going to gym. Yeah. You show up, you're bound to exercise. I met a guy on the plane. He said, even if you go and just sit at the gym for 10 minutes, that's worth it. You do nothing, just go there for 10 minutes, just breathe the air, you'll start changing. And
no, it's absolutely right.
And I think humans are, most humans at least, need to be disciplined and need to follow a track, and then we follow a track. That's why the school system is really good at spitting out a lot of people. The curriculum has problem, fine, but they're still fantastic at disciplining us in many ways, in making us in many ways. It just became, any large organization, it just becomes slow.
It breaks down. Yeah.
I met the Verizon CEO once, like 10 years ago. He said, for a paper to go from this desk to this desk takes 9 months. So it just takes time. When you're so large, Titanic, you can't change the course. So,
you can't steer away or steer towards something. Just gotta keip going.
Yeah, I'm giving away everything I'm doing through videos, through books, on my website. The reason is they don't have me. Yeah. You can take as much of open source stuff as you want, but basically everything I'm putting it out there is me. It's my experiences, my network, everything I have. I'm just giving it away. Here you go. Yeah, right. And most people don't follow it to the dot. And that's why they don't make it.
They kind of create their own journey you know.
And I did that, and
Yeah.
I was stupid to not have a teacher. I never found a teacher I could just follow.
Right.
So I just took the world as a teacher, and I just wandered around. And now I don't. I tell them, look, if you want to do that, you will get there 30 years later.
Yeah.
You will get the same place. But if you have
Right.
a teacher you trust, just follow it. Take a teacher, take a bet. We call it a bet. Like you put a hand on and you break a promise and then you don't break it. And then you just follow the order. And then, yes, it's not the perfect order. But right now, this is the order which is needed in this time. It will not
Correct.
be needed in another 20 years. It'll change.
Yeah.
But for now, it's a good order.
Yeah, that's the narrative that I don't have anybody to look up to right now. Do you? Like you just you look to your peers, but it's like
I have a lot to give right now.
yeah,
And I have accumulated so much network, so much
yeah,
information, so much discipline that I am lucky to be in that position that I am able to give people. And when I
right.
give is I get energy.
Yeah.
When I get the right student, I get energy from that.
That's why the student model works so much because they can look up to you. You can be the role model.
Yeah.
And what I'm asking is basically, you know, is the role model displaced? I think so. I think because
There is no role model
There's-
because the world has changed.
You get
2
the
years
world-
ago, the world changed. There doesn't exist anything which a role model can offer today does not exist. That's
Yeah.
the big problem.
yeah,
The world
the lack of
of the role
leadership.
model,
Yeah, the master. Yeah,
master of this world
The
doesn't exist.
apprentice.
The world is so new.
yeah,
Who do you look up to? Elon is already doing funny stuff. Sam is doing funny stuff.
yeah,
Who do you look up to? Who's the? There are like 6, 7, 10 people in the world
yeah.
who are on the place, but they're doing weird stuff, and they're doing their own thing.
Yeah, they're personalities.
They're doing their own thing.
yeah.
They're if you think about it, Sam's Altman's company has changed the way humans live today, right? In 2 years'
Yeah.
time, it has never happened before in 2 years' time. And
Yeah,
the next,
Sam's always been someone in the startup community. I've watched him, his career, and of course I've been a student of his with his startup school. And
you were in the Y Combinator?
I from the outside, not in it, but there's like free courses and things, and of course I've listened to all the videos and everything.
I met him 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And at a conference, and I offered him, like, I was making this AI for religion, theology, which can guide us properly instead of a human being.
Yeah.
And he was like, good idea, keep on doing, I'll know about it. I was like, how did you know about it? Now I know how he will know about it.
Yeah.
So, he was gathering all the information of the world. So, yeah. So
Yeah,
right
he put
now,
up an AI together back in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was about 10 years ago. Him and Elon talked, and there is some communication that we probably should launch this. And so, but yeah, we're seeing the fruits of people's labors. 10 years from when they started. That's a lot of people just wake up and like, oh, it's here. No, it was a decade ago. Similar with your path. A decade ago, and when we met, like you've been up to this for a while. This is not just some like, oh, I just woke up today and I'm doing it. No, you've been on this path for a while. So.
15th year.
Yeah. Well, great. So, all right. Well, I guess that's how we can end this. And thank you for giving me some time to talk to you. And hopefully we can continue these podcasts and keep the conversation rolling. Because yeah, you have hit a chord with me, and I think a lot of people that are going to eventually have, I don't have kids yet, and so eventually when I do have kids, or when people find out what you're doing, they have kids, it's like, well, hold on, that's actually something to invest my time into as a parent, or soon to be parent. So it's important that everybody sees what you're doing. That's why I'm saying, like, you do a lot of good on a Lex Friedman podcast, or like another podcast, or another thing like Joe Rogan, because they're all here in Austin. We can talk about the state of education. I know Trump would love to hear you. He's like, yeah, make us more competitive, please. Make us better. Make American education better again. I don't know if we ever, yeah, we were good. Right back when were we good? Was America ever really on that top 10? I don't think we ever.
I think who decides to be on top 10, right? So
Yeah.
the happiness country, the smartest people, who's putting these lists together?
Yeah, that comparison is
So it's not a
yeah,
good idea.
to be
These
arbitrarily
lists
on the
are not
list.
a good
Yeah.
idea. You can, we say दिल को बहलाने के लिए ख्याल अच्छा था गालिब, meaning just to satisfy your heart, this was a good idea.
Sure.
But America has amazing educational system. It's not that it's a poor education system. The education system itself needs to be updated. So, for
That's a
example,
good
in
point.
Austin,
The whole thing.
there are 30 private schools in Austin alone
Yeah.
which are working on evolution of education, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I came to Austin was to look at one of these schools, and I found out that the other one I bumped into by accident, the Acton Academy in Redwood City, Silicon Valley, by accident, total accident, was also headquartered here. It also started from Austin. I was like, what? And then I met this third guy, Gabriel, who's starting another third model of education. He wants to do something else. So there are like at least 30 people here. There's a website called alteducationaustin.com.
Really?
It's designed around.
That's what Austin's great about it. We do like to.
For some weird reason, there's a lot of educational stuff going on in Austin. So I wouldn't say there's not going on in America. It's when you're a giant, like for example, when Pakistan, 20 years ago, Pakistan had 1 million phone lines. And US had probably, I don't know, 100 million phone lines, like copper connections, right?
Yeah.
And now Pakistan has 230 million phone lines, and in 20 years because the technology changed.
Yeah.
So we jump started somewhere. In US, you have to pay minimum of $25 a month for unlimited phone and data.
Yeah.
In Pakistan, it's $4.
Yeah.
Unlimited data, unlimited voice.
You can leapfrog whole.
It already did. So if you want just phone service incoming, it's free forever.
Yeah.
No charge. You get a SIM card for free.
Right.
You get a phone for like $10, and that's it. You're set for life.
Connected. Yeah.
So so in US it's more expensive, it's more cumbersome. That's what the current administration in the US is trying to do, to deregulate a lot of things, because it's a lot of things have been regulated.
Well, yeah, we've got to make government smaller. It's too big right now.
I think the system, the software, the technology moved 25 years forward, and in the US they're still using COBOL and stuff in these banks and everywhere. It's so old.
Yeah.
It's just legacy systems just take time.
Yeah.
Even though Twitter was born 2003, Elon had to come in and cut in 80% of the jobs.
Yeah.
So when you start and this country has a lot of systems.
Yeah.
They're not integrated together. So
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic for your country what's happening right now, technological wise. And a lot of world will learn from this, because Europe is the same, US is the same, that the legacy software in the government system is so old and so obsolete.
Well, that's why, I mean, Elon,
it just needs to be upgraded.
Yeah, Elon's tech support right now. He speaks about this like at the.
He's like, I'm tech support.
Yeah, the cabinet meeting.
That's a great thing.
No, he actually is proving a point that we have to have IT in government, and that IT is a horizontal for all arms.
And I think in 2 years' time, this government will be moving at the speed of light, and it'll be, right now Dubai is leading, other countries are leading, Singapore is leading, but not this country for sure, because of you just go to a driver's license office and you'll be like, oh my God.
No, you have a point.
Forever.
Like it's the existing structures or scaffolding for the things that are yet to come, and then some communities don't even have to say yet; they can just be. Right, but yeah, we don't have that luxury here. We have these large investments in all this infrastructure,
and it's all crap. It has to go away.
It all has to get changed. And next podcast we should have, we can talk more about what I'm up to privately with construction and AI construction and the future of robotics and how that integrates with our infrastructure, because that's where I'm at. I hear you with education, and I love it, because I know right now that the blue collar is coming back, and I'm so happy to hear about that, because people need to use their hands. We all need to use our hands. We shouldn't just depend on something to do things for us. We should have some competence to, you know, try to get somewhere with our hands. We shouldn't just be completely lost. It's kind of like the art, like there are certain art forms like glassmaking that are you can't reinvent that. Like it's lost. Hopefully, skilled labor like plumbing doesn't become a lost art. That all of a sudden it's just like, what do we do? You know, it won't get that bad. But for next time, we'll talk about that. We'll dive into there. Well, thank you, Rehan, for your time, and looking forward to next time.